Welcome to the Butterfly Effect. I'm Chris Horner. This is Liége-Bastogne-Liége 2022. Now, this is the last of the spring classics. It's one of the big 5 monument one-day races. This is the 4th for the 2022 season. There's still one more left, but we got to wait till October. So this race, Liége-Bastogne-Liége, at 257 kilometers, peppered with climbs throughout the whole 257 kilometers of racing, but they'll categorize 10 climbs. Now, what you guys really have to focus on, the second half of the race, when they get into the town of Stavelot, that is when the racing always begins. It really starts with about 90 kilometers when they summit the first climb there in Stavelot, and they're going to have 4 climbs. So they're going to have the first climb, and the second, the third, the fourth, they all come in session of each other, and we're talking 5, 6, 7, and 13% climbs. Côte de Stacker is almost 13% at over 1 kilometer, and it's the third climb when you come into Stavelot. So they'll come down, they'll hit a hard right turn, and then they'll come up from a dead stop at 13% with maximum of 15% going up the climb. That is always what starts to weaken the legs of the riders when we're talking about breakaway guys who have been out there all day, and when we're talking about the guys in the peloton who aren't the strongest here starting Liége-Bastogne-Liége. Now, when the racing gets started, there's 11 riders up the road, and multiple teams have multiple riders in there. Lotto Soudal have 2 riders with Moniquette and Van Hoeke. Uno X have Madison in there. Intermarché have Plankert. Total Energies have 2 riders with Dubé and Oselin, and then Bingo Powell's has 3 riders in there with Molly, Tiza, and Vertjen. Vertjen was in the break at Flèche Wallonne, so we see him riding good, and he's in the break represented today. Now, Kern Farmer has Miguel Delgado in there, and FDJ have Bruno Aramai. Aramai has been a force to reckon with so far in these early breakaways, and here he's going to represent for almost the whole length here at Liége-Bastogne-Liége. Now, when they get into Stavelot, the time gaps before that were above 6 minutes, but now we see the big teams back there chasing, and there's multiple big teams that were chasing. Quick Step was on the front with their big man Tim de Klerk. Jumbo-Visma was represented, Bora Hansgrohe represented, and of course Bahrain Victorious, the big favorites here with a stacked roster, coming with 7 guys, all with names that we've heard of throughout the last decade. I mean, these riders here from Bahrain Victorious, any of these riders could win here at Liége-Bastogne-Liége, and it's going to be Sanchez that's on the front doing the bulk of the damage when we start getting into Stavelot. He's setting a vicious tempo up front, keeping his Bahrain Victorious in a safe position when they enter the town of Stavelot. Then it's going to be Quick Step to the front. Now they're going to control the peloton back here, always for their 2 main leaders here, Remco Evenepoel and Julian Alaphilippe, the 2-time road world champion. Now, when the riders come out of Stavelot, we're going to see that breakaway of 11. They're going to be reduced down to 6 riders, with Aramai being the strongest rider in there. Moniquette and Van Hoeke from Lotto Soudal are setting some strong pace on the front. Dubé from Total Energies, along with his teammate Oselin, are represented in that group of 6. And Vertgen from Bingo is the last rider of the group of 6 to survive the town of Stavelot, exiting while they continue with another 60 kilometers to go here at Liége-Bastogne-Liége. Now behind with about 50 kilometers to go, there's a massive crash back there that will just block the whole road. 50, 60, 70 riders going down. Riders all over the place, bikes, bodies. The road is shut down. Up front, and we're talking Bahrain Victorious, missed the crash because they were represented at the front. They still got 7 guys up on the front of the peloton pulling. Now, they'll back off the gas maybe just a hair, but not much, because the time gap up to the 6 breakaway riders never really extends at this point. But because the time gap's not going down, you know Bahrain Victorious is not going full gas up there. Now, back in the crash, the main casualty back there is 2-time road world champion Julian Alaphilippe. He went off into a ditch, and he will abandon here at Liége-Bastogne-Liége. The other big casualty, DSM's Bardet, the winner at Classic de the Alps. He's out. He's down there looking and trying to help Julian Alaphilippe. Those riders we won't see again. Now up front, when we're talking about the guys trying to get back to the front of the peloton, it's Movistar's Alejandro Valverde back there with his team on the front, chasing the Bahrain victorious peloton. Now, Alejandro Valverde had gotten a flat just before that crash, and that might have saved the Spanish rider because it doesn't look like he went down on the crash. With the help of his teammates, he will get back up to the front group, but that front group is severely reduced. All of the EF Education teams, bar Nilsen Palace, is the only rider from EF Education not to get caught up in that crash. They had mass casualties back there from EF Education. Now up front with about 40 kilometers to go, it's Bahrain Victorious that throws in the big attacks, and it's Mikel Landa. Let me remind you guys, Mikel Landa came from Classic des Alpes just the other day, where he was riding on the front day in and day out for Pello Bilbao, who lost the general classification at Classic des Alpes. Clearly, Mikel Landa's feeling some good form as he's throwing in attacks left and right with 40 kilometers to go here. Bahrain Victorious is super active with big accelerations on the pedal, and it's Jumbo-Visma back there that's shutting down all the moves. Now, the big news of today's race, of course, Tadej Pogačar is out, but Wout van Aert, Jumbo-Visma is in. There's no Primož Roglič here either. Evidently still feeling the effects of that knee pain that he was having at the Basque Country. But with Wout van Aert here, it's going to change the chemistry from this point in the race all the way to the finish. Now when the peloton comes in the Côte de la Redonde, up front in the break of 6, it's falling apart, and Bruno Armai FDJ is going solo from this point on the race. Behind, the peloton reaches the climb. It goes steady up this climb with Quick Step all over the front represented. Bahrain Victorious is there. Just as the climb is coming to a finish, it's going to be Remco Evenepoel that throws in a massive acceleration. When he does his back wheel skips, I don't know if it's from the power on the pedals or if the gears had jumped, but his bike skips on him. He gets back on the acceleration. It's the American rider EF Education, the sole EF Education rider left, because all of his team was caught back there in that crash with around 50 kilometers to go. Now Nilsen Palace is struggling to hold the Belgian rider's Remco Evenepoel's wheel. The gap starts opening up to Remco Evenepoel. Behind, it's Bahrain Victorious trying to close the gap, but they can't seem to do it to the Belgian rider as the gap just keeps increasing and increasing. Now with the original breakaway riders all split up in ones up there, Remco Evenepoel is flying through the remnants of the break, catching them all one by one and disposing them just about as fast as he's bridged up the gap to him. Behind, Bahrain Victorious is trying to do damage control. Now remember, they were the first to start all these attacks back there with about 40 kilometers to go with Mikel Landa, and now it's Mikel Landa riding the front. He's got a little bit of help back there, but not much. It's Jumbo-Visma's back there, Sam Omen's taking some pulls on the front, and then as we get to the next bump in the road, there is no such thing as a bump here at Liége-Bastogne-Liége, but it's not categorized. It's still 1.5 kilometers, and it's still 6%. As they're coming up this climb, it's Matej Mohoric, the Slovenian, on the front. Remember, he is the winner of Milano-San Remo earlier in the season to win the first one-day monument here in 2022. Now he's on the front, but the damage up to Remco Evenepoel is still starting to extend. Nobody can bring the gap down to the Belgian riders. When I'm calling it live for NBC on Peacock, I'm thinking if this gap gets over 35 seconds when we hit the last climb, Remco Evenepoel's got a legitimate shot of winning Liége-Bastogne-Liége. Now, you've heard me many times rip Remco Evenepoel apart, especially last year at the Men's Road World Championship when he was trying to go into early breaks with 178 kilometers to go. Now, here at Liége-Bastogne-Liége, he started his tack just with under 30 kilometers to go. When they come up to the last categorized climb here, Roche-à-Falcon, there up front, it's Remco Evenepoel. He's got one person on his wheel. It's Bruno Armai, the FDJ rider, who's done a fantastic job of entertaining all of us on the couch here in today's Liége-Bastogne-Liége. As Roche-à-Falcon starts proper, though, Bruno Armai will get distance from Remco Evenepoel's wheel. Now behind in the group of favorites, when they turn to make the right turn onto the climb, the pitch here is steep and hard, and right away you see there's not a whole lot of action happening back there. Bahrain Victorious is the first to keep pulling on the front, but they're not setting a spectacular tempo, and now we'll see a stalemate back there as all the favorites go curb to curb. When you see them curb to curb back there, you know they can't be going as fast as Remco Evenepoel is up front. Now he's got over 35-second gap behind. Finally, it's Movistar's Enric Mas that gets on the front for Alejandro Valverde. Movistar's on the front, pulling as hard as they can. Still not doing any real damage to Remco Evenepoel's time, but we still got all the favorites back there. All the favorites are pausing. They're looking at each other. It's a tactical nightmare back there because Wout van Aert, the Belgian from Jumbo-Visma, has entered the race. He's sitting back there. He's not taking pulls, and nobody wants to be the rider that pulls Wout van Aert to the finish at Liége-Bastogne-Liége. Up front, Remco Evenepoel still digging hard on the pedals. Behind, as they finished Rocha Falcon, there's still another bump left, and it's a hard bump at about 6%, 1.5 kilometers. Now we're seeing the big first attacks from the favorites, and it's Michael Woods back there that's going to throw in the first acceleration out of all the big favorites here at Liége-Bastogne-Liége. That attack will get followed right away. Then it's Vlasov Bora Hansgrohe that throws in the second big attack. With each attack now, the time to Remco Evenepoel is dropping dramatically. The third attack almost looks like it's going to put the nails into the coffin of Remco Evenepoel, as it's Dylan Teuns, Bahrain Victorious. Dylan Teuns has had Bahrain Victorious looking after him phenomenally throughout this Liége-Bastogne-Liége. Now with this third big attack from the favorites, the gap up to Remco Evenepoel is just over 15 seconds. But guess what? All the favorites follow Dylan Teuns. Now they got it all strung out, but with the last acceleration of Dylan Teuns, there's a slowing. The gap to Remco Evenepoel stretches back out to about 20 seconds. And then Dylan Teuns from Bahrain Victorious throws in another big acceleration as they come to the final summit here at Liége-Bastogne-Liége. He'll go over the top, go into the right turn with Danny Martinez from Ineos and Egita from Bora Hansgrohe latched onto his wheel. Now these three riders, they still got to make up a 25-second gap up there to Remco Evenepoel, who has not hesitated since he started his attack on La Redoute. Now he knows he's got to go all in. He's pushing hard on the pedals behind the group of three. They don't work well together. Now Movistar's chasing that group behind for Alejandro Valverde with Enric Mas on the front pulling as hard as he can. He'll bring back the three leaders in front, but there's still a gap to Remco Evenepoel. Next rider to attack from the back group back there is going to be Alexander Vlasov from Bora Hansgrohe. He gets a gap, and now he's trying to close up on the Remco Evenepoel. Gets it to just around 30 seconds, but it's not going to be enough as Vlasov starts to stall back there. The group of favorites behind Vlasov are playing tactical nightmare games and knucklehead moves back there. No one will sell out because Wout van Aert is in the group. Remco Evenepoel is running away with the victory here at Liége-Bastogne-Liége. With 2 kilometers to go, we'll see a fist bump to the cameras from Remco Evenepoel as he knows he's got this Liége-Bastogne-Liége wrapped up. He's just got to keep the bike upright and not have any mechanicals. With 1K to go, he's still got a gap of about 45 seconds, all the time extending it from the top of the final climb here at Liége-Bastogne-Liége. He'll solo in for a win here at Liége-Bastogne-Liége. The biggest win for Remco Evenepoel on his career. Now behind, all the groups came back together. Wout van Aert led out the sprint only to get beat at the line from Quinten Hermans, the Intermarché rider. To get second, Wout van Aert gets third on the stage. Danny Martinez from Ineos gets fourth. Sergio Egita will get fifth. And Nielsen Paulus will get eighth, the American rider who's having a great showing in the big one-day races here for EF Education. Alejandro Valverde on his last season here in the Pro Tour Racing will finish 7th at Liége-Bastogne-Liége. This was a spectacular day of racing. Now, in the interviews for Remco Evenepoel, he had talked many times about the drama and how hard this last couple years were since his crash at Lombardy a couple seasons back. I want to try to go into a little bit of detail of what a rider might experience from that. Now, when you win a lot, when you win like Remco Evenepoel, he's 22 years of age. That means he's been on the scene since he was 19, 20 years old and winning good big races, but not monuments. When you win monuments, when you win Grand Tours, that's what brings you up to that next level. So when you win Liége-Bastogne-Liége solo from La Redoute, That has not been done in a long time. 30 kilometers up front solo. Now, many times you guys have heard me on the butterfly effect just rip into Remco Evenepoel when he's attacking with 178 kilometers to go at the Road World Championships, when he was at the European Road Championships and attacked from so far out and still was capable of getting second, but lost to Sonny Colbrelli that day, when he was attacking at the Olympics and he should have been working for Wout van Aert. All that drama, along with the crash that he had 2 years ago at Tour of Lombardy and trying to recover and come back 100%. That's what he's talking about, of all those stressful moments as a professional athlete. As a young Belgian rider, remember, the spotlight in Belgium is as big as it gets in the professional world of cycling. So everywhere he goes, he's critiqued. Every race he goes, he's critiqued. You've heard me critique him many times here on the Butterfly Effect and say you just can't ghost from so far out Remco Evenepoel when you're a talent. I said it last year at the Men's Road World Championships here on the Butterfly Effect. I think he could have been Road World Champion from last year if he had played it smart. Now here at Lombardy, they lose Alejandro Valverde with 50 kilometers to go in that massive crash. And then Remco Evenepoel switches into race leader here for the Quick Step team. And when he does, he doesn't attack until 30 kilometers to go. This is a perfect time to do it because riders really have the ability to do 1 hour, 100% maximum effort. The good top quality riders. When you win like this, though, the reason why he's so relieved, because remember, guys, he won in Spain this year. He won in Algarve when he won the overall classification and the individual time trial. He's already got 4, 5, 6 wins on his resume this year, but none compare to Liége-Bastogne-Liége. When we look at riders, Peter Sagan, all those times when he was winning, he wasn't considered that great athlete until all of a sudden he started winning the monuments. Now with Remco Evenepoel, when you have a monument on your win, when you have a world championship on your win, when you have a Grand Tour on your win, that brings you to that next level. Now that he has that, he can relax a little bit, calm down. Now when he looks at how he won today, going from 30 kilometers out with the tactical games back there being played with Wout van Aert and nobody wanting to pull him to the finish, that just shows now the experience is starting to kick in. I blame, honestly, for the earlier misfires when we're talking the World Championships and the European Championships and the Olympic Games. I blame the directors. I blame the national team director for those losses. And when you look at today's race, the way he won, the power he had on the pedals, and the ideal of attacking from 30 kilometers to go instead of 50 kilometers and out, that is the big difference of why he's able to win here at Liége-Bastogne-Liége and why now he can rest in peace. The last 2 years, the crash from Lombardy, and all of the chaos that's followed him all the way to this day at Liége-Bastogne-Liége, everything will be calm now. When he goes to the next Road World Championships for Belgium, he has to be considered one of the leaders. He's no longer going to be in the rider meeting with the director coach for the Belgium team being said, hey, you have to work for this rider, you have to work for that rider. Now we know he can win Liége-Bastogne-Liége, 257 kilometer monument, massive accomplishment here for Remco Evenepoel. And with that win, it will set him up for future wins with big teams, with national teams at the Road World Championships, and of course, as leader, as Quick Step team, no matter who's on that team. So today, a big accomplishment for Remco Evenepoel. Congratulations. Big praise here from the Butterfly Effect. Hope you guys like my take here today for Liége-Bastogne-Liége. It was the last of the Spring Classics, but now we're moving into Tour of Romandy, and of course, the first big Grand Tour starts, Giro d'Italia soon. So make sure you guys like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next edition of the Butterfly Effect.